there. It knows that there's something there.
Autoimmune, think infection.
Yes. That's,
inflammation, infection, they're all correlated together.
Because that's both like what happened with both of us. So, like, this is another question altogether. So you know what? I think we've covered this question, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the next one. So this is why I wanted to go to the next one, because the next question is, what can Lyme turn into?
Or what could Lyme be misdiagnosed as?
Yes,
right?
which is
You
what
can
I mean.
look at it both ways.
Yeah, what can it possibly, yeah, exactly, both of those
How
things.
can it manifest itself, right? And this
Yes.
is where we, get all these crazy diseases. They keep making up new diseases every day, it seems like.
You go to the doctor and you have a new label every single time, and that's kind of what happened with Kevin and I. Like, it was ridiculous, because in the beginning I was diagnosed with Crohn's colitis, and then, that was an issue, and then that eventually, what was it turned into after that? So I had the Crohn's colitis first, and then after that, I started developing all these problems with my liver. So then they did a scan on my liver, and they realized I had 5 what they call hemangiomas on my liver, which were benign tumors. And then they realized that there was one in my spine, because I was getting a lot of neck pain and arm pain and all that. And then when they did the spinal x-rays or MRIs, they realized I was suffering with osteoporosis, herniated discs. Like, you know what? We can sit here and go on and on and on about it, but like, chronic fatigue syndrome I had, fibromyalgia I have, what else? We can go on to you now. Like, there's
multiple sclerosis, ALS, there's Parkinson's, there's, all these...
Yeah, we didn't get diagnosed with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's.
These are very common with misdiagnosis of some type of Lyme or co-infection of some sort, right?
Yes. And then the other thing is a lot of people aren't aware of it, is that with Lyme disease, and of course when you're struggling with any chronic illness, this is going to be common for anybody, that all the mental illnesses too, right? So like bipolar and depression and schizophrenia and stuff like that, there is a big correlation between Lyme disease or having some type of a either a parasitic or bacterial infection, and the idea that people could be going schizophrenic. So I remember a study back in the day where they used to do electric shock therapy, and they would notice that people would get better that had schizophrenia, and they believe it was because the current was actually zapping away at the bacteria and the parasite and killing the parasite for a short period of time before they would obviously regrow again. And so that's why people would have those issues, right? So,
but regardless of what disease it is, I mean, there's so many autoimmune diseases out there right now, but if that's what you've been diagnosed as, something to keep in mind is that it just may be a symptom.
Right.
Right? It just may be a symptom of something deeper.
Yeah.
Right? And Lyme is, and especially with Lyme and everything it brings with it, can manifest itself. Sky's the limit.
Yeah. And the other...
It is. It's really true.
It basically can, because like from people that we've talked about, there's been people that have developed almost every single disease ever after being infected with Lyme. Like tumors are another really big one, because of course these are playing with your immune system. So then, your body's like not reacting to cancer cells properly in apoptosis. So a lot of people develop cancer from being infected with Lyme disease. A lot of people end up with eye problems like Kevin, like optic neuritis or brain inflammation. Paranoia, because all these doctors are telling you you're nuts and you don't have anything, you're perfectly fine, but somehow your skin is falling off. Skin ailments, Kevin's skin literally burned off his body. Lupus is another huge one I'm hearing now. And I've already met
rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid arthritis is another one. I've already met 2 people who were diagnosed with lupus first and then realized they had Lyme disease. And then the other thing, and this is one, sorry, somebody's dinging me.
Heart-related too, right?
Yeah, heart-related.
Cardiovascular diseases too, or there's infection related to that, of course.
Right, I'm just trying to look off of, there's so many of them here. Another thing, when I got sick, my neck was just so inflamed. I had so many problems with my neck and my back, and then I found out later that it can cause Lyme disease can cause like a secondary infection that's a lot like meningitis. So there's that. Another one, oh my God, we both had this, but I've had it a lot worse, was vertigo. Like this was a huge one for me, like vertigo, anybody that's ever experienced that, it's just where you completely feel completely unbalanced. The world is spinning all the time. So you're like throwing up, you can't walk, you can't do anything, just because it's so disorienting, it makes you feel so disoriented. And then the other one, tinnitus. I used to get a lot of things going off my ears, just hearing popping sounds or high-pitched sounds or, stuff like that. A lot of arthritis, both had sinusitis.
Yeah, in a nutshell, whatever it may be, you know, if it's any of these strange, just these symptoms that you get, if they're just crazy symptoms that you're getting, you know, one thing to think about, that it's infection.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Yeah.
An infection that probably won't be found if you go to the doctor. So.
Yeah. And it's just so crazy because, like, you know something's going on with you because you can feel it, and they just keep telling you, oh, it's this, and you know, and the way that I don't want to discredit any doctors, but the thing is everybody wants to diagnose you with something new or different. So instead of treating you like a whole person, they treat you like individual organs, and I hated that. That was one of the things that drove me absolutely nuts. So like, for instance, he was going off to a bunch of different specialists, and like the oncologist was like, well, it's cancer that he has. And then the other doctor was like, I don't care about what that doctor says. It looks like MS to me. Yeah. And then,
they all want to be the hero.
It was just, they want to be the hero. They want to say it's specifically this one thing, and it's this one thing that's affecting one part of your body. But Lyme is a systemic thing. It's like in all your cells, it's in all your organs, it's throughout your entire body. And I'm not saying this to scare the crap out of people, because that's not our intention. It's just to raise awareness on how this disease can actually come to fruition. You just skipped the last one. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I was just looking at it. Yeah, so basically, if you have some type of a mystery illness, we really encourage you to maybe see somebody who's specialized in Lyme, because you never know. It could be that. And I would never settle on one doctor's opinion. So for instance, when they told me I had Crohn's colitis and I was really sick for a long time, I was like, no. Yeah. No, I don't believe my immune system is just gonna attack itself because my body is stupid or something. Like, that just didn't make sense to me. So I was like, no, I'm gonna find the answer and we will get to the bottom of it. And same with Kevin, when technically in Canada they said it was MS, but because they seen a couple of lesions on his optic nerve or brain. But we were like, no, we're not gonna settle for that. We'll find the answer. So the next question is, why is it so difficult to treat chronic Lyme disease? I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, well, again, it's just like, you know, we just talked about all the immune diseases that can kind of, you know, manifest themselves if you do have Lyme. I mean, it's not easy to pinpoint these things. Even if you do get diagnosed with a autoimmune disease, it takes a long time. You're going to specialists, to doctors, and you're getting tests all over the place.
Right. And
that's just to find out, you know, okay, I have, you know, rheumatoid arthritis, or I have lupus, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, that's not really a diagnosis either, in my opinion. That's just kind of more of a symptom. At least it could be. And a symptom of what? You know, again, we got to go deeper.
Yeah. Like, you know, what happened originally for this to happen?
Infection, you know, for disease to really come into play. I mean, you know, especially for, you know, bacteria and all these viruses to take over. I mean, your body, your internal terrain needs to be in the right state in order for all this to manifest themselves and start to take over.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about this in my other Lyme videos, and that's key. You know, like I said, if the energy levels are low in the body, this is exactly the time for, you know, all these things and these little critters to come and take over and set up shop.
Yeah. Oh, I think, and I think, so well, the other thing is...
you need to kind of look at it that way and not just look at, oh, I have, you know, multiple sclerosis. This is just it. I just have it and that's just it. Well, what is multiple sclerosis?
Yeah.
What is it? Mm-hmm. What's underlying the root cause of what is going on there? I know maybe I'm kind of going a little bit outside the box on this, but you need to kind of have that thinking and not just accept what they're saying, right? And, you know, I did that. I didn't really trust all these things. You know, I had lupus and I had multiple sclerosis and I had ALS.
We had every disease under the sun, and that just didn't make sense to me. I'm like,
there's something else happening here that you guys don't know.
Right.
And was just the way I thought about it, and I was not going to stop. You know, I kept searching, and you know, I don't, you know, don't give up. You know, don't just stick with whatever diagnosis you get.
It is very difficult to treat Lyme disease, but it's difficult to treat anything. It's difficult to treat cancer. It's difficult to treat lupus. It's difficult to treat MS. It's difficult to treat all of these things. I think the misconception about all of these diseases is that we are doing that. We are treating the symptom. We are not treating the body. Yeah. People need to realize that if we start to look deeper, a lot of illnesses, in my opinion, have a common denominator. And honestly, I think a lot of them start with like a toxic overload or an infection of some sort, whether it be a viral infection, bacterial, or even parasitic. Something sets off the immune system in order to start all these chronic inflammatory states throughout the body, which then manifest into all these 300 different diseases that, you know, Lyme has been known to create, which is the same with all the autoimmune diseases. So it's like, do we treat the Crohn's disease? Do we treat the Lyme? Do we treat the multiple sclerosis? Or do we treat the body? Do we, you know, try to treat the underlying infection? Do
treat
we
the terrain?
Yes, treat the body, like, you know,
your internal terrain.
Absolutely.
Treat that and start to build that back up, and you'll see that these, you know, the body will take care of itself.
Right.
Your immune system will start working again. So one last thing about, you know, when you look at autoimmune disease, even for myself, if I would have settled for my multiple sclerosis, I would have had all the drugs in the world at my disposal. You know, any doctor would have been ready to write me a prescription to maintain or at least to manage my disease. That was a given. But if you go further, and you have to do this on your own, you have to do this on your own. You're not going to have a doctor say, oh, you know, you should look into Lyme, because it's probably not going to happen.
No.
But if you do, and you find out you do have Lyme, you're going to find that there's nothing really out there for you. Like, no doctor will even accept that diagnosis, number one. And if you do find somebody, they're going to probably going to go
let's not
outside.
freak everybody out. There are some doctors that are open to this idea of Lyme, and, you know, maybe their way of treating it is not a whole body approach, but there are some medical doctors that are now open to this, because, you know, I think it's become a bigger problem lately. And of course, there's been a lot of publicity on Lyme lately because of all the actors that are coming out saying that they have Lyme disease now too. So, you know, and I'm thankful for them coming out and sharing their story with the world, because they are bringing awareness to this disease and making people think about, you know, Lyme disease, but also their autoimmune diseases. And if, you know, there could be a correlation to what they're infected with, and it maybe not even be that. Maybe it is Lyme disease, like for us.
Just look for a Lyme literate doctor, like a Lyme literate LLMD, I think is what they're called, right?
Yeah.
So they do exist. You know,
Yeah.
we might have to do some extra searching, but they are out there.
Yeah. Next question. Okay, so the next one is, we actually talked about this, I think, already a little bit, but how can you get tested? Well, there is not a lot of great accurate tests out there for Lyme disease. And there are two that I think they use commonly, which is the ELISA and the Western blot test. And unfortunately, those two are incredibly inaccurate a lot of the time as well, especially if you're going and you're using mainstream medicine or going to the regular hospital and stuff like that. And if you've been, like I said, if you've been sick for, like, you know, beyond 30, 60, you know, 90 days, there's a good possibility that it's going to come back negative for Lyme, but that does not necessarily mean that you do not have Lyme. Again, it took us years to get a proper test, and even then, even the tick-borne illness labs that are out there to test specifically for Lyme, they even say that their tests are not 100% accurate. So in most cases, you're having to test a couple of times, and you're having to test for, like, maybe one of the infections. So, like, for instance, I was tested for Babesia and Lyme because I actually sat down with somebody, and you want to sit with an LLMD or ND, and basically the way that you'll get diagnosed is based off of symptomology first. So they'll listen to all of your symptoms, and then they'll be able to tell you, well, that sounds a lot like this particular parasite or this bacteria or this virus. So then what they do is they will decide what you go and get tested for. So that is kind of what happened with Kevin too. She kind of sat with him and she said, well, you know, your illness sounds like Bartonella, more neurological, and mine was more like Babesia, which was like the sweats. Yep. And, you know, I did have a lot of neurological issues too, but mine was a lot of musculoskeletal stuff.
A lot of night sweats.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. It was, not fun. Okay, I think
it's not easy, and, you know, you may find that your first test may come back, you know, it won't test for anything, right? Mm-hmm. It's known to do that, and then you do it a second time, and all of a sudden you get something that comes back positive. So we've seen this before, and
yeah,
that's just the way it works. You're testing kind of through a lot of, you know, the testing is not 100%. That's just what it is, you know.
Yeah, it's not, and you have to basically, you know, Lyme disease is a very personal subject for the people that are struggling with it too, because Lyme, you know, you can feel it in your heart that there's something wrong. Like when we got sick, I think the reason why I kept looking for an answer was because the doctors were telling us we had what we had, and I wasn't ready to settle for that. But in my heart, I also knew that Kevin and I had gotten sick around at the same time. And I thought, well, you know, this is just crazy. Like, how can two young people, because we were very young, this has been, what, 11 or 12 years now since we've been together, and in the beginning, and we did get sick quite early on in our relationship. But you know, we were like what, 27 or something like that, 27 or 28 when we got sick, and it just progressed from there. And I thought to myself, how can this be possible that you have two young people who seem to be fairly, we thought we were fairly healthy at the time. And, you know, we were just coming down with everything under the sun. And, you know, the doctors were like, well, it's just your immune system. It's just shutting down. And I was like, no, this does not make any sense. It was a recipe that was
brewing up, really, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we were sick, you know, we've been sick for a while, you know. I even started, like I said, I started with psoriasis many, many years ago. So there was something starting, and that's the immune system. The immune system wasn't working properly.
And
so
I think that's important to mention that, too, is that, you know, Lyme, there's a lot of people walking around probably with Lyme, and it doesn't do anything to them. And the reason why, I think, is because it is an overburden to the body that needs to initially happen in order for other things to take place. I hate to kind of compare it to that, but I often kind of compare it to like the idea of like HIV and AIDS, because, you know, people can be living out there in the world with HIV and have low bacterial counts and parasitic and viral counts and stuff, and keep them very low and never have that progress into something like AIDS. I've even actually heard that HIV is now treated with like one pill, and, you know, most people are able to have children and have sexual intercourse without passing off the infection. And Lyme is kind of the same. You know, it only starts to really take hold of your body and your life when your body is already in a kind of in a downward spiral. Yeah. And for us, we were young. Yeah. We were partying.
The trade was right. You know, if you get bit and it starts to, you know, go rampant and you end up really, really, really sick with a chronic illness, then it might have been that, you know, your body was kind of, you know, ripe for that.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say that, but it's
and we were young. True. Like we were both into our first serious job. We were working ourselves to death. We were working a job from like 9 to 2 o'clock in the morning. We never slept. We were young, so we were partying a lot back then. We were going out drinking. We didn't eat well. That was another thing. I was famous for eating off of coffee trucks and eating at every fast food restaurant in Brampton, like in Brampton where I grew up. And, you know, it just caught up with me. And then when I got this infection, it just took hold of my body and said, you know what? No more. And it made me very humble. Like being sick with Lyme has made me very humble. It's brought me down back to earth and made me realize that we're not indestructible and
we're not separate from our environment.
Yes, that's another thing.
That's key.
Yeah. I think
you know, we all think we're separate and we're invincible and we can do all these things, but no, it's not really the case.
No, and you know, that's something that we've talked about a little bit. Kevin talked about it in his last Lyme video about, like, you know, even exposing ourselves to all this technology. You know, I know some people think it's controversial and they don't want to talk about it, and they think, oh, you know, using Wi-Fi all hours of the day and sitting on our cell phones, sleeping with this stuff near our head, this is all fine and dandy. But like the science is now showing that this is not fine, and it does keep your body in a chronic state of inflammation and dehydration. So again, just another reason or another way that these bacteria and virus can take hold of you if you do get bit or get some type of sexual transmission, or even if you're having children and you're passing this stuff on to them. So I think with that one said, the next one would be, what can someone do to prevent the infection? So I think we talked about that a little bit, like making sure your immune system is in tip-top shape will definitely be like number one in order to keep yourself healthy. So
just an overall healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, healthy environment, you know, getting good nutrition, you know, good quality water, you know, these types of things will go a long way too, right? And of course, you know, a little bit of mind management as well, right? You're trying to, you know, keep your mind focused and keep your, you know, not let your mind go to all these stressful situations and, you know, be stressed out all the time. Like, and this is just fear, and fear is the
number one killer, and it will
kills.
It will destroy you. It will destroy
Stress
you.
kills. So these things too, you need to kind of keep, you need to pay attention to this stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So,
like Kevin was my rock in the beginning, because my mind just races and goes to all the negative places that things, like I think about tomorrow all the time, and I'm always like, oh, we should have done this, or we should have done this, and we should have went there. And I know I need to live more in the moment, and I'm really working on that. But when I first got sick, that was a big problem for me, because, you know, when you're young, you feel indestructible and you feel, you know, like everything's amazing and you're on top of the world, and then you get sick like this and, you know, you just feel broken. I felt broken for so many years. I felt like you know, I'm never going to be 100% again. I'm broken. What am I good for? Like, what am I going to become? I'm going to be in a chronic state of illness all the time. I'm beyond all these pills back and forth to the hospital. I thought my life was over. And, you know, I didn't handle it well at all in the beginning. I was horrible. Like, I would like sit and scream and cry all the time in the beginning. Kevin got to that place later on, but
it'll test you.
Yeah, it'll test you, and it'll test your sanity. But he was definitely my rock, and without him, I probably would have not been able to do it because, and my family is really good at this too, because we're always pushing each other. We're like, oh, you know, snap out of it. You're gonna get better. It's gonna be fine. You'll make it through. I think the worst part about it is having people around you that are so willing to kind of give in to all of your fears, because in that case, for me, if I was around a lot of people that gave me a lot of sympathy and were giving into those fears, I mean, it's good to be compassionate, and that's absolutely necessary and needed, and it's not good to sweep all your problems under the rug either. You need to kind of face them head on. But I think with that, if you are always in that state, then it does put you into this place where, you know, maybe I'm not going to get better. If everybody else is looking at me like, oh, poor you and stuff like that, I'm like, you know, it made me start to think, like, I am really sick. Like, what's happening? Am I going to die? Like, you know, and you get to that place where it's super scary, and you don't know what to do. For the longest time, you don't know what to do. So it's always good to have somebody, which he kind of said in his last video, it was really ridiculous, but it was kind of easier. I mean, it was really hard that we were both going through all this crap together. But in a way, it was kind of easier, because I find that people who are struggling with a chronic illness and it's only one person, the other person ends up, I know I hate to say this, but the other person almost ends up resenting them a little bit, because they can't understand. They can say, oh, I understand, or I feel you, I know what you're talking about, but you really don't. Until
you don't understand anything unless you have a direct experience of something, period.
Yes, and honestly, that's why even we are always saying, we're not here to tell you what to do and to tell you to make your, like, we're telling you to make your own life decisions and to, like, listen to your heart and follow your own heart, because nobody can tell you what type of experience you are currently living. Like, only you know what that experience feels like.
You just need to kind of find the pathway to get the answers you need, right? And sometimes listening to, you know, YouTube and listening to people that have had the disease, there's nobody really to better listen to than someone who's had it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of always said, you know, when you look at, if you get diagnosed with any illness, do you want to go to a doctor that's never experienced anything that you're going through?
No.
And then yet you're going to listen to everything that they're going to say about, you know, what to do and what to prescribe. You know, it's tough, you know, you almost have more respect for some of these doctors that have really experienced something, you know, like they've been through a horrible illness and they've battled it, they've, you know, conquered it, and now they're here to kind of give back and to teach people and help people. And those are the people that, you know, that's most of the doctors that we found along the way were those people.
Yeah, we like literally looked for people. We looked for people that were struggling with the same illness that we had. So
and if I was very compassionate, they knew exactly what was going on,
and they felt it. Even
it's huge.
Even the person that we kind of look up to for Lyme disease, like somebody that we kind of followed a lot of his protocol was like not completely. We've kind of developed our own protocol really over the last 12 years, but. Dr. Klinghardt, we kind of followed him because Dr. Klinghardt struggled with Lyme himself. So
he's had it.
He knows what it's like. So that's why we would definitely go to him.
That's why he's one of the leaders in the world on Lyme disease. People want to listen to him because he's had it.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. But last but not least, what can people do? I always talk about this in some of my other videos, is to kind of
that's
the
not
analogy.
Last but not least.
No, there's still one more question, but.
Well, the other thing is we haven't finished this question.
That goes to this one. What can people do to prevent the infection? Well. As far as, you know, simplicity goes, you know, I'm kind of a scientist and a physicist in my spare time, but keep the battery charged. Keep your body charged up.
Yeah.
Disease can't live in a healthy body. Period. It can't. So that's something people kind of need to, you know, look at a little bit differently, because there's a lot of ways we can go into this on how to do that, because that's not something we can talk about now, but future videos will. But it's key. Mm-hmm. Keep the body's cells charged up. The immune system will work fantastically, and your body will just maintain itself. So we just need to kind of learn some tricks on how to do that.
Yeah. And we kind of went off topic there because I was starting to get a little bit emotional. But we had asked the question on what can someone do to prevent the infection. There are some basic physical things that you can do to try and avoid it. Like, so if you're going to be out in tall grass, or you're going to be out in nature and stuff like that, they often recommend that you wear long pants and long sleeves and anything light colored so that you can see a tick on you. Tuck your socks into your pants. You can do that too. Another thing, I know I'm learning and I'm trying to be better, but Kevin gets mad at me, and when I'm out walking in nature, I'm always kind of looking for them, and he's like, stop doing that, you can't live in fear, and I totally agree. But another thing that you can do is you can take all your clothes when you get home from being outside. I would strongly recommend taking a shower, washing your hair and all that,
and
just in case. Them. Not burn them, holy, but kind of.
That's what you would do.
I know.
Start a little campfire in the background, in the backyard, and burn them all.
I would burn them all. No, you don't have to burn them, but what you can do is you can take all your clothes and you can put them into the dryer on high temperature for like 30 to 40 minutes, and apparently that's been known to kill any types of ticks. So you can do that as well, and then you can take a warm shower and make sure that there isn't any ticks in your hair or on your physical body. Another thing for you people that have animals and dogs.
Dump them all, dump gasoline all over them. Okay.
No, another thing is for people that have dogs, you can actually, and then that's another thing, just to make sure that you check your animals when they come in, because I've heard quite a bit of people, even this season already, that have had their dogs coming into the house and them finding a dog, like a tick on the back of their dog's neck or near their ear. That's another thing. Ticks like to go in and around the neck or in and around your ears. They also like to go into crevices, belly buttons,
we'll find
armpits.
Any orifice possible. Or literally any orifice.
Okay, next question.
All right.
Next question. Okay, we're killing our battery here. Okay.
This last question here.
Okay. Oh, so sorry. Another thing is also you want to use some type of tick repellent, and I will include that information in the description below. If I've missed anything in that last one because he made me laugh, I will post it somewhere on the screen. So the last one here is how can you help to spread awareness about Lyme disease? Well, number one, you're watching this video, so thank you so much. And if you learned something new, thank you so much for listening to this all the way to the end. But can you please share this video as much as possible across your social media sites and stuff like that, because if people get to hear what we're saying, you know, of course, we're helping to raise awareness and you're helping us to do that. Another thing is to
share your story.
Yeah.
You're going through this. Yeah. Share your story like we are. You know, even Jesse and I both, we were always on YouTube and looking for other people that are, you know, experiencing, just to see what they're experiencing and how they're dealing and how they're managing. So keep doing that.
Yeah.
So it's good. People
Absolutely.
are listening.
Actually, and
people
honestly, we always read all the comments that people send to us, and I am quite the typer, so I will always try to get back to you with like a long, you know, 3 paragraph
16
comment.
pages long.
16 pages. But no, even, you know what, share your story in our comments below these videos, because people do read them. I read other people's comments too. So sometimes if there's something that's worked for you, post it in my comments. I will always leave that stuff. Even if you want to link to another video that you think might be helpful, I'm not the type of person that's going to delete that comment from our page. If it's helpful, I will definitely leave it there. Of course, don't go spamming all over our comments and all over our channel, because I will delete that stuff. But if you've got information that you think is helpful for other people, please post it below, and you know, you never know who you might help. Again, please like and subscribe to our channel. That is also so important. I know I see a lot of people coming through our channel and they're watching every week and stuff, but they're not subscribing. The only reason why I'm asking you to do that is not because I'm looking for all these subscribers, but because the more I have subscriptions, our videos get trended on YouTube's front page, so then more people can actually see them. I don't know where I was now because the battery just died, and that was like the 4th time. Where was I?
Like and subscribe. You were just
yeah, so I was telling everybody. Yes, too. Thank you.
Finish that off.
Okay, so what I was saying was it does really help for you to like and subscribe to our channel, because the more you guys subscribe, the more our videos get trended on home pages and all this kind of stuff. I'm just learning all this stuff, but I know that the more subscriptions I get, I seem to get more people that come in, because obviously our videos are popping up in various different places. So, and when you share our stuff, like on Facebook or Twitter or all these other things, like all that stuff, I'm old, I don't know a lot of that stuff yet, but I'm trying, and I'm trying to work at it, but that also helps as well. So I think that was, I think that's pretty much it. No, like, go ahead, you were gonna say something.
I think we can stop now.
No, you had something to say. There was something else I wanted to say though, but you can say something first.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, the other thing I wanted to say before we left, and I'm not looking in the right place, was that Kevin and I have decided to take on quite a huge project here for the next couple of months. So we are going to be very, very busy with that, and it does
Jess is
pertain
going to finally clean the house after 16 years.
Shut up. It does pertain to health and wellness and us wanting to contribute back and give back and hopefully be able to help more people. So we are working on something really big. I will be disclosing what that is at a later date, until we have all the details fully laid out and we know that it's all going to work out the way we expect it to work out. I'm sure it will, because whatever, it'll be fine. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because doing YouTube is very demanding, and I have this commitment to you guys, and I feel so guilty when I don't post on a Wednesday, on a Wednesday or on a Friday. So I just want to let you guys know ahead of time that this month, these next couple months, I may be missing either the Wednesday or the Friday, or posting even like between those 2 days, like on a Thursday or something like that. I will definitely try to do a video every week, of course, at least one a week. But to do 2 a week, I don't know if that's going to be entirely feasible, just because we have like not just one other thing on the go, we have like 3 other things on the go right now. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Last but not least,
no, why are we doing it though? You have to explain why we're doing it.
take a bite of the lime, right? That's
Yes.
kind of the signature here. Lyme
It's been a
awareness.
motto,
It's
yeah.
everybody
Oh,
take
wait.
a bite of the lime. So let's do it.
Okay, yes, and yes, we're gonna do this because this is something that they do every May. So, and if you wanted to maybe take pictures of you guys doing it and post it on our Facebook, post on my Facebook, or you can't post it down below, right? No, we can't do it on that. But you can post it wherever, just to spread awareness. But the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is that I am working diligently on trying to release our website. And I am working on a few different, I'm working on some merch right now and some other things that has our Hansa Hand logo on it. And I might do a Lyme t-shirt as well. I'm not sure yet, but I'll probably be releasing that next week. And for every sale that we make on that stuff, I will be donating a small portion of all of our profits to this little girl specifically. If I can post to her website or to her channel on this channel, I will do that, because she is doing an absolutely amazing, she's doing absolutely amazing work at spreading Lyme awareness, basically. And the other thing that I love about what she's doing, she works with a lot of natural doctors, which we strongly believe in. And the other thing is, she is also helping to send certain people that can't afford Lyme treatment, because that's another thing we didn't really talk about. Most of Lyme treatment is not covered by OHIP or anything like that. So for all the treatments that we always have discussed, we've had to pay for the majority of the treatments that we've done out of pocket, and it's very expensive. So she also helps to, help fund these people that aren't able to afford the treatments, and send them off to different Lyme clinics and whatnot. So take a look at that. All right, cheers.
Take a bite.
Oh God.
Bye.
Oh God. Oh, I just spit everywhere.
That's good.
I
Bye-bye.
just spit. Bye. Why are we drinking on a Tuesday? Okay. Why is it so hot? It's because we're drinking wine. Do you see her face? Your face. You go, Be for real. Be for real.